I came to Davis, and my first workout was somewhere over by Toomey Field. It was like weights or practice or I forgot exactly what. And I remember Ralph coming up to me, and he's all excited. Hey, how you doing? You got to meet this guy. You got to meet this upcoming new freshman. And I'm like, oh man, okay, well, I thought I was that guy, but apparently not. So he pointed out Mike Prelock.
Great.
So I approached Mike, and Rob goes, that's Mike over there. And I remember just today, Mike's fixing his bicycle or getting a lock off, and I walked around and said, hey, Mike Prelock. You. So I'm not full, I just was told I had to come meet you. He said, nice to meet you. I don't know if you know Mike, I mean, he means the world to me, but that's pretty much how that initial conversation was. But you know, the great thing about it is I became friends with Mike. And then I remember that freshman year in fall ball, I remember the first time I saw him pitch, and we were over at the visitor side bullpen, throwing a bullpen. He had a straight bill hat on, a little cricket, thinking he was lefty or something, but he was right, he just sure went a little bit. And I saw him throw. Man, I just stopped in my track, and I saw Mike pitch, and it was, I mean, something I never saw before. But it was more than just his stuff. I saw his approach, and I saw his demeanor, and how he approached every single pitch. And all throughout that first fall workout, and throughout all the college years, I would watch Mike pitch. Now, even though we remained best of friends today, he taught me a lot on how to approach pitching. He approached it as if this was going to be his last pitch, the last thing that he would ever throw. And I learned that from Mike. So I wanted to thank Mike for not only being a good friend, but for being kind of my mentor and teaching me how to approach every single pitch. As I stand here, as Matt explained, there's probably one or a few of us that were actually not only coached by Matt Bond, but we were teammates. And I recall during that freshman year, seeing Bond, who was a senior, work his tail off to be the best that he could be. I mean, he would go out running, he'd do, I mean, every single drill he would do an extra 5 or 10 minutes. And I remember seeing those practices. I remember Prelock and I would be running a few poles to condition just to hurry up so we could get the local fraternity to have a few beers. And Matt would go off, run for about 45 minutes or so. He'd come back all sweaty and do some other drills. And I was just thinking, Mike, thank you for running those poles with me. Then one game in the bullpen, I remember Matt and I were sitting in the bullpen, and he had actually mentioned that he was thinking about coming back to be our coach. And I responded, yeah, that would be cool, that'd be great. Then he left, and about 5 minutes later, I went, oh, crud. This is going to be painful. Well, sure enough, he became our coach, and as Matt could probably tell you, we kind of butted heads a little bit, and I felt like he was always picking on me. And I couldn't understand. In fact, I had many conversations with Mike, like, why is he always on me? I never understood that until one day he came up to me and took me inside. And he said to me that I had the potential of playing beyond here, and that he wanted to see that for me. And I never really had a coach tell me that at that time. And I learned from that moment what Matt had told me. He had told me that to never take anything for granted, and to keep pushing for excellence, and to work your tail off, because hard work actually does pay off. And so I want to thank Matt for everything he did, and I approached that through my minor league days, and even through life today, that excellence, hard work does pay off. And so Matt, I want to thank you for that. And I also want to congratulate on your coaching success. Also, of course, I have to thank my parents, Bob and Madonna Poole. I want to thank them for their love and support throughout my playing days. I want to thank them for their dedication and their sacrifice to get me to all my games and be there watching and giving me the support. I also want to thank my father, Bob, for always wearing the shirt into all my games that said, "Kill the umpire." Yeah, I believe it. It's kind of weird though, but and that's probably every player can tell you. As a pitcher, sometimes a lot of times I thought I'd be up there struggling on the mound and kind of getting tense and can't hear anything up there, but all of a sudden I hear my father's whistle. And once I heard that whistle, it just kind of brought to me a moment of silence, gather my thoughts, and I'd be able to refocus again. So I thank you, Dad, not only for everything you've done, but for that whistle. And to my mother, who was always there for me, no matter what. to the shoulders to lean on, through all the thick and the good and the bad, and for always getting me to all my games and practices. So I thank you, Mom and Dad, for everything, and I love you. So in conclusion, I have to say that pitching here at Davis was actually probably the best times I've had ever. It was pretty easy to pitch for the teams that I had and to be a starter, because all we had to do was get by the first inning or two. And as Matt had mentioned previously, because our offense would explode, and we'd be up by 5 or 6 runs, and that's pretty easy to pitch when you're up for that much. I want to thank all my former teammates. I know many of them are here today. Too many to probably name all. But I thank you for everything and for making my time here and my pitching here so easy. You know, the great Lou Gehrig once said that today he is the luckiest man in the world. Well, today I'm the luckiest man, not only because I'm receiving this honor, but because I look out to the audience and I see what a great family I have, not only my immediate family, but every UC Davis fan. And I also see what wonderful friends I have that came here to support me. I have Clinton, who flew all the way from New York to be here today, Amanoff from San Diego, Wendy and Steve Safer from Phoenix, Arizona, my sister Shannon and my brother-in-law from Houston, Texas. Of course, my other family's from Texas, my Aunt Judy from Florida. But I want to thank them all. They're really my support group. And yes, Mons, even you from Sacramento. But I want to thank you all very much for being and making me the luckiest man today. So thank you.